Okay, hello everybody. Today we're here at Penn Valley Sierra Echo Golf in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. We're flying in the real-world livery of November 5207 Quebec, a Cessna C172 Skyhawk. We have a 97 nautical mile flight to November 35 Punxsutawney Municipal. We'll be flying VFR, flying with real weather and listening to live ATC along the way, using ForeFlight to help us get to where we're going. Should be an awesome flight. So let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. Okay, we'll check that all of our circuit breakers are in and our switches are off. Our parking brake is set. We've got our second bank of circuit breakers in. Mixture and throttle are to idle cutoff. We'll adjust our trim to the takeoff position. Then we'll head down here, push in our fuel cutoff switch, then rotate the fuel selector through each of the positions and put it back to center. Head over here and we'll get the battery and alternator on and turn on the beacon to let people know we're about to start. We'll call clear prop. We verified that the prop area is clear. We'll check our fuel quantity left and right. We've got 3/4 of a tank, which looks good. And we're running with the C172 enhancement, which is a little finicky to start. So we're going to bring in the mixture and throttle a bit, which is a bit different than the way you start a real Cessna Skyhawk. Flip up the fuel pump for just a second. Crank it over, and we've got ignition. Then we could push in the mixture all the way. Now we'll get our throttle up to 1000 RPM. Head over here, we'll verify that we do have oil pressure, and we do. Everything's looking good here on the gauges. There's nothing on the annunciator panel, so we'll head back over here and lean the mixture for ground operations. Then we'll head back down here and get our taxi light on, and bus 1 and bus 2 for the avionics on. Now because we have state saving, everything is turned off from when I turned it off the last time, so we actually need to turn on each of the avionics. So we'll get the transponder on, the autopilot's booting up. We'll head up to each of the Garmins and turn those on. And now we have to wait for those to go through their boot up routine. This is very much like real life. It takes the Garmins a while to boot up and to acquire all the satellites. And then there's a short calibration routine that you do, which does appear on the screen for the Garmins here, but isn't modeled in the sim. You can see that the autopilot is asking me to confirm that the altimeter is 2981. So because we're running with live weather tonight, we're going to listen to the real-world ATIS from Harrisburg. So while these are booting up, we can start entering our frequencies so we can get Harrisburg's ATIS in, which is 118.8. Skies clear, 130 at 5, visibility 10, 29er, 79er for altimeter. We've dialed that in. If we compare that to the field elevation for this field, which is 463, we can see that we are almost dead on. So we've got that dialed into the autopilot, and we're good to go. Let's bring up ForeFlight, and I will take you through the flight plan. Alright, when we look at ForeFlight, it's a bit of a mess of weather. We've got polygons that are red, orange, and yellow. You can see that that's a convective segment off to our east. Fortunately, that's already moved past us and is in New Jersey, so that's not going to be part of our flight plan. But off to our left, we have airmets for turbulence and pyreps for turbulence. They are higher up at 32,000 feet, so I think that we're in a pocket of good weather with bad weather coming tomorrow and should be fine for today's flight. In fact, as I'm doing this voiceover, it is tomorrow and the bad weather's here, so you're going to hear some thunder, lightning, and rainfall in the background of this audio. Now if we head back over to our departure point of Selingsgrove, we're going to fly northwest to Mifflinburg for our first waypoint. This will make sure we're on track, and this will also allow us to follow this road here and have a lot of good waypoints that are towns. So we've got Milheim as our first town. We're going to make our way to Penn State University Park, which is a Delta. We'll be overflying the Delta airspace at 4,500, so we won't need to talk to them. Then we'll turn, overfly Phillipsburg. Next we have Lake Curwensville, which is a branch of the Susquehanna that empties into that lake. Then we'll continue on until we arrive at Punxsutawney. Penn Valley traffic, Skyhawk 5207 Quebec, taxi from the ramp to runway 35, hold short, Penn Valley. Looks clear. Okay, we're going to do a bit of a 180 here and get over to the taxi line. I've customized this airport, including adding this helicopter and hangar here. In real life, that's a Geisinger Life flight hangar and helicopter that ferries people to hospitals. You can see we've got a super short taxi. Runway 35 is right over here to the left. We'll stop here at the hold short lines and we'll do a quick run up, and we've got head tracking, so we can look back and check that our elevator goes up, elevator goes down, rudder goes left, rudder goes right. We turn the aileron right, the left aileron should go down, it does. Left aileron and right aileron goes down, left yoke, right aileron. Now we've got our mixture into full rich. We're going to bring the RPMs up to 1700 and do our mag check. The mags are self-powered generators that are part of the engine that generate the electrical power for the spark plugs. We're going to make sure both of those are working correctly. Mag left, and we can see and hear the drop. Back to both. Mag right, see and hear the drop, and it's the same amount. Looks good. Now we'll pull the throttle to idle and make sure that it doesn't quit. It's still going. And then we'll head down here and get our switches on. Now in real life you do a lot more for the run-up, including checking all of your gauges and doing your takeoff brief, but we're going to skip past that and get ourselves underway. So we got our strobes on, we've got our landing light on. Penn Valley traffic, Skyhawk 5207 Quebec, departing runway 35. We'll be doing a straight out departure, then departing to the northwest at 4,500 Penn Valley. The nice thing about runway 35 is that it departs very scenically through two mountains that flank final. So we're going to fly right between the mountains, get enough altitude before turning northwest. Alright, got 3-5 on the runway, 3-5 on the directional, 3-5 on the compass. We are on the right runway. We're going to rotate at 55 knots and climb at 70 knots. And I like that in the sim you can see, if you look down the runway, that it accurately models that the runway is not flat. So there's a slope to the runway and it kind of pitches up at the end there. And we're up. That was a nice smooth takeoff. Yeah, we're going to get the nose up until we get ourselves to 70. That'll give us a VY rate of climb. And there's those mountains I've talked about, left and right. I am sure you recognize the name Punxsutawney from Punxsutawney Phil, the famous Groundhog, and the movie Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray is trapped in Punxsutawney, living the same day over and over again. The way that they portrayed Groundhog Day in the movie really looks exactly like the real Groundhog Day. Here's the 2023 clip of the Groundhog seeing his shadow and giving us 6 more weeks of winter. Switching gears, in other news, if you've been following my channel, you know that I've reached the point in my private pilot training where I've completed all of my requirements. The only thing left is the check ride. So now I am doing lessons with my instructor until I am up to standards to go for my check ride. This past week we were working on my short and soft field landings and takeoffs. Here's a clip of a short field takeoff. Wyoming Valley traffic 07 Quebec. We'll be doing an intersection departure from runway 25, remaining in the pattern, Wyoming Valley.
Airplane.
My airplane.
Yeah, so rotate at 60, climb out at 68/70, because you're not really going to be able to tell much of a difference anyway.
Oh, I'm a very precise flyer.
All right.
We got the wind from the right-ish. All right, feet on the brakes. Here we go. Full power. RPMs look good. Engine gauges look good. And release. Coming up on 40, 50, 60. Rotate. And climb at 70.
Awesome. See, I just got to let it catch. There you
right
go.
there.
Perfect. And there's 50 foot.
Yeah, there we go.
Right to
Nose
80.
over to 80.
Nice.
Fly Valley Check 172 Tango, so back taxiing runway 25 Lime Valley.
All right, we can turn on the autopilot now to help us out. And while we're doing that, I'll give you a real-life tip for how to report your position. So when you contact ATC, how do you tell them how many miles you are away from a waypoint? And the trick is to use the GPS, turn the outer ring on the Garmin all the way to the right. That will take you to the nearest page, and that will give you the distance to all the nearest airports. With it, I can see that I'm 8.4 miles northwest of Penn Valley. Now we're just overflying our first waypoint of Mifflinburg. This is also our first turn, so we're going to roll out onto our new heading. And once we roll level, then I'm going to contact ATC and pick up flight following. Harrisburg approach, Skyhawk 5207 Quebec is a C172 slant Golf 10 miles northwest of Penn Valley, Sierra Echo Golf at 4,500. We'd like flight following, destination November 35 Punxsutawney. Squawk 2313 and ident, Skyhawk 5207 Quebec. And that's all there is to it. Now they'll give us flight advisories along our route and then switch us back to CTAF once we are within a couple miles of the field. Alright, we are on track. Let's sit back and enjoy that awesome flight simulator scenery. Alright, that was a lot of fun. I love flying with live weather, live traffic, live ATC. It adds a cool level of challenge, and you know what I love about the live weather engine on MSFS is that you can see fronts, so you can see the weather in the distance is different than the weather where you are, which you don't get if you use things like presets. So I hope you enjoy content like this. If you do, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.